Nice to be back after a bit under the weather these last few days. Nice to see all people coming in. Good morning or good evening, good day to you all, wherever you are. Thanks again for being here. Very warm welcome if you're here for the first time, and also greetings and welcome if you will be watching this on the replay. This is George on this side, still a bit unsettled by the last move. And we're hosting Christine Kupfer this week. And she will be leading the session till the end of the week about freeing the heart mind from doubt. And as usual, that's a huge topic, something to really work on. So we'll be here for about an hour, and there will be time for a talk, and then for a guided meditation, and then some time for interaction with Christine. If you have questions, you have doubts. I doubt you have any doubts, but we never know. Any comments? You can use the chat as we're using to so gently and so nicely greet each other. And you can also come on screen if you want to. Just use your little digital hand and I will check it out and try to make you come on screen. If you use the chat, please type question in capital letters so that we can differentiate it from the rest of the comments. And yes, apart from that, I just want to mention the daily and regular dana. I think we've all been drilled about dana these times, but if you're new to the concept or new to the platform, we use dana, the Buddhist generosity concept, to run these sessions, to run the whole platform, actually. Sangha Live has been live for many years, over a decade. It started with another name, and it increased during the COVID outburst. And these sessions became daily because of the need of support from the generous and always up ahead, front thinking of Martin Aylward, the founder of this platform and still is guiding teacher. And of course, none of this is free of cost, although it is freely offered. It's a hard work. But Christine is here and she needs to make a livelihood like I do, like all of us do. And yet, what we are trying to do is to view these sessions as more like a ground base of mutual support. And that's how we envision dana, not as a trade kind of instrument, but a way of, if we can donate something generously without expecting anything back, well, if we all do the same, we're all donating something. And that can be the presence, the practice, the good heart. And it can also be a physical donation, money donation, because that's how the world turns I wouldn't like to say it unfortunately, although it's what I think, but that's the way the world functions. So if you're inclined to give anything to support these sessions, to support the whole work and all the costs that we have inherent to this platform, please feel free to do so. I will let you have the link. If the only donation you can give is your practice and your presence, consider it a very generous act, and it's all good because that's what we're here for. Okay, and I've spoken enough as usual, so I'm going to take myself off. Thank you all for your presence. Thank you, Christine, and I will hand it over to you. Have a nice session. Thank you.
So, hello again, friends. Lovely to be back this morning with you. I've been reading all your greetings. I hope you can hear me and see me fine. Yeah. So, as George said, we're going to continue this week with the theme of doubt and freeing the heart mind from doubt. So, we've been looking at the 5 steps the Buddha outlined for working with doubt. Doubt is a hindrance. And yesterday we looked at step 1, we looked at step 2, and today we'll have a look at step 3. Step 3 is one knows where arising doubt comes from. So we will look at the causes and conditions, and the causes and conditions that generate doubt. We'll look at where the patterning comes from. And we will look at the causes and conditions, especially through the lens of self-doubt, which is a particularly pernicious form of doubt. What happened yesterday morning in our session with the technological challenges gave me material for my presentation today. Yeah, so one of the most important points with self-doubt is that self-doubt comes a lot from converting every experience into me, mine, and my life, making it my personal drama. And so the technological challenges of yesterday's session, if you were here yesterday, you saw that the internet connection was very unstable, the image froze, the sound disappeared several times. Well, those kind of challenges are the perfect example for me of how self-doubt can creep up in me and overwhelm me. And then I make everything about me. So, phew, yesterday I had all the support I needed. I'm so grateful to have on one side the support of Sangha Live, Faith yesterday, George today, and on the other side, the support of my husband, Philip. Also, I assumed that you would be compassionate, and you were. So, thank you for your messages of support yesterday. And so for the purpose of this presentation, I'm going to tell you what typically could happen for me when faced with a technological challenge. So I'm exaggerating this a little to make my point. So I tell myself that I am the problem. There is something true in there because technology is not my thing. But when I'm confronted with a technological challenge, if I'm not very mindful, my mind can slip very quickly into drama. I lose perspective. I forget that there can be a whole series of technological problems that have nothing to do with me and that are not due to my incompetence. Very soon, I become blind to everything else, as if my whole life was defined by my incompetence. My mind repeats that I am so incompetent. And it leads me to believing that I'm completely pathetic, actually, in all dimensions of life, worth nothing at all. In short, I'm good for trash. Okay, so I'm exaggerating for the sake of argument, but really there's something of this order that's going on. And these thoughts and beliefs can lead me into despair and shame. Shame about being so dependent of others, for example. And this is when the so-called wise voice comes in and tells me what I should do. It goes like this. Listen, face it. You should forget about all the situations where technological tools are needed. Stop kidding yourself. You're just not good enough. And you really need to accept the fact that you don't have what it takes. Meaning, since we are living in the age of technology, that to be wise, I should just quit doing what I love. Like being here with you, for example. So if I believe all that drama, I end up feeling really miserable. And the only thing I want to do is to recoil in a corner, overwhelmed by sulkiness, resentfulness, obsessed by my incompetence, ashamed of having to rely on others, paralyzed, sucked in a maze. So, this is what happens when I make it all about me. Giving myself so much self-importance. To see the mechanism is powerful. Self-doubt and self-importance are not so far apart. And if it wasn't so painful, it would be almost comical. Yeah, so we all have our own version of this. Self-doubt is a real poison when we believe the narrative. As the Buddha points out, whatever we frequently think and ponder upon, that will become the inclination of our mind. So understanding these causes and conditions that give rise to the habit of self-doubt is the first step towards its dissolution. So we have already seen some of the causes, making the situation all about me, unwholesome thoughts that we believe in, that generate difficult emotions that we believe in. The more we believe them, the more it becomes a pattern of mind. So what are the other causes and conditions that give rise to doubt and self-doubt. So to a certain extent, we all have doubt. Even people who are very self-assured and have strong views, they also have doubt. And in part, the self-assuredness may be a defense system against doubt. Uncertainty of life is threatening, and doubt is linked to threat, what we call today stress. Now, doubt is linked to staying attentive to what is wrong and what could go wrong. So it is ingrained in us. It has an evolutionary dimension that actually helped our species to survive. So probably many of you know about this because there has been a lot of scientific research in psychology about stress. So when a person is faced with a threatening situation, the reptilian brain automatically activates the fight, flight, and freeze reactions through the person's sympathetic nervous system. Cannon in 1929 first studied this. It's the famous fight and flight response to stress. Anyway, doubt is linked to being attentive to what is wrong and to what could go wrong. And the thing is, we can get hooked on being attentive to what is wrong and what could go wrong. And when that happens, it doesn't serve us well. And it especially doesn't serve us well, as we have discussed earlier, when we believe that we are the problem, that something is wrong with us, that we don't have what it takes. And when we believe this chronically, this is the core of self-doubt. So how do we end up believing that we are the problem, that something is wrong with us? Self-doubt is conditioned. Western psychology shows, Winnicott, Bowlby, that self-doubt often stems from past experiences, especially early childhood experiences, and how we were parented. As babies, as infants, we were very dependent on our caregivers. We needed our caregivers to reflect back on us our basic goodness. And when for different reasons that didn't happen, well, we came to the conclusion that something was wrong with us, that we were not okay. So some of us have experienced traumatic childhoods. And my opinion is, if that was the case, that help from a competent therapist is key. There is also a part of cultural responsibility in the way we were educated. There was a form of violence that was long promoted in child rearing that impacted generations and generations of parenting. Alice Miller, the Polish-Swiss psychoanalyst, has talked about this in her books. And she says that in the 18th, 19th, and about to the first half of the 20th century, cruel child rearing was long encouraged. Children were considered to be bad by nature. Their wills had to be broken right from the cradle. And violent physical and psychological practice practices were legitimized in the name of the child's good. Also, this belief that man is fundamentally flawed actually can be traced back as far as Adam and Eve and original sin. Through this tradition, in this story, we are faulty. And especially Eve, since she is the one that gave Adam the forbidden apple. Women are especially not okay in the story. And actually, contemporary research shows that self-doubt and imposter syndrome is especially prevalent in women. So the stories that we tell in our history conditions us and influences us. It influences the way we perceive ourselves. And the reinforcer of this idea that we're not okay, not trustworthy, not good enough, is the image reflected back to us by contemporary Western culture. At work, at school, in our social environment, our goodness is not de facto recognized. We must constantly prove ourselves, prove that we're not good enough, and prove that we are good enough by outward standards. And to be sure that we measure up, we compare ourselves. Capitalism thrives on the notion that we should have more, that we should do more, that we should be more. And so typically our mind whirls around to find the perfect something, the perfect education, the perfect house, the perfect job, the perfect spouse, the perfect body, etc. It's like a trance that conditions us even into our spiritual practice. In short, we believe that we are not okay as we are. And we seek to improve ourselves, be it materially, physically, psychologically, spiritually. We compare, we measure, we strive to better ourselves, doubting of our self-worth. So this is a form of subtle, self-imposed psychological violence. And if we show some imperfection, we fear that we won't be successful in life. If we don't measure ourselves, we fear that we will not be enough. This fear of being a loser can completely overwhelm us. Just under our awareness. So let's go the other way. Let's go against the stream. Let's work against the ingrained tendencies, the social norms, the habits that perpetuate our suffering. Let's learn to trust the goodness that is already here. So let's meditate. Letting go of comparing mind, measuring mind, letting go of the tendency to assess, to judge, letting go of the tendency to try to be more. So let's meditate. So find a comfortable position. I'm just stretching a little, having a drop of water. So here we go. So where did I put my bell? Here it is. Shifting our attention to the body. The simplicity of body on the ground. This gentle touch. Body touching the ground, ground touching the body. Sensing our weight. Sitting like a mountain. Stable like a mountain. Settling into this posture, the dignity of this posture. Nothing to do. Allowing everything that is happening to happen. Naturally, gracefully. Body breathing. Nothing to do. The wonder of that. Letting go of all unnecessary wanting to do anything. Offering any striving to awareness. If some striving is here. And let's see if it's possible right now, in this moment, to really let go of all judgments, all measuring, assessing, offering all of that back to awareness. We are okay, exactly as we are, alive right here. And if something is in the way right now, see if it's possible to not push it away and to not hold on it either. Simply loving attention, caring attention. Allowing our experience to come and go. Streaming through our awareness, our loving awareness. May we all be free from the stickiness of self-assessing, self-measuring, self-judging. May we all trust our basic goodness right here. May we all go through the day remembering our fundamental goodness. So, we have a little time for sharing or for questions. I just need to stretch a little bit, change positions. And so if you want to share or if you have a question, you can type it in the chat if you wish. I'm reading Marco saying, self-doubt is Mara after all, as Martin says. Yes, yes, yes. Self-doubt is Mara. And probably all know the story of the Buddha on the night of his awakening and being attacked by Mara. Maybe I'll tell that story tomorrow. So yeah, self-doubt. We all have it, even the Buddha. So we're in good company. I see Caroline that has a reflection. She writes, I noticed some shame that came up when I was aware of how much I measure and judge my performance in the meditation. I found your guidance to give up your doubt gently to awareness very helpful. Yeah, I found that helpful too. Martin always says that. I'm taking that from Martin. Offering everything back to awareness. Yeah. Nika, reflection. There was a lot of thinking going on. And after your words, I realized there was a subtle notion of, I am not a good enough meditator, even though on a logic level, I know that not thinking is not the point. Yeah. Not thinking is not the point. Yeah. And still, judgment can come up, even if we know intellectually that we can't not think, thoughts come up and judgment comes up. Offering it all back to awareness and to notice that judgment. To notice the I'm not good enough is really the first step to dissolve this notion. If we don't notice it, and most often it's really operating just under our knowledge, if we don't notice it, we can't let it go. Elizabeth, says that sitting like a mountain feels especially helpful this morning. Yeah. For me, really, coming back to the more basic, really basic, is so helpful, Intellectually, we could think that that's not going to work. For me, it works. When I'm full of doubt or self-doubt, I really come back to, if I'm meditating, okay, sitting like a mountain, the touch of the body on the ground. If I'm walking, just one step after the other, sensing the earth under my feet, sensing the support. Okay, so maybe that's enough for today. So yes, please go gently through the day. Seeing the judgments. If you start measuring yourself to others or to what you think you should be, and relaxing, we are already okay. Thank you all. See you tomorrow. Oh, I see just another. Fiona is saying, I was enjoying being in awareness when doubt and fear grabbed me. I tried to observe the feelings it brought. Yeah. Very uncomfortable feelings. Very useful to dare see them, feel them. Yeah, so see you tomorrow. Thank you for being here.